Project 3 covers creating a multi-chapter book. Now, if you've already completed Projects 1 and 2, you already know most of what you need to create this book. However, creating a book requires a lot of planning and organizing. You need to decide on where the different parts of the book will be saved. You also need to make decisions about the page and paragraph styles to be used. The formats and styles presented in this project follow the requirements for preparing a book that can be published on Amazon using Kindle Direct Publishing guidelines or on other self-publishing websites. This project requires that you've already completed Projects 1 and 2 of this series. Before you get started creating the custom page and paragraph styles, you should take a little bit of time to organize your folders where you're going to put the files for your book. In my sample, I've created a folder, My Book Project, and there I've created a folder titled My Book Graphics Files, and then I've created a folder for Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, and as the book grows, I'll continue to add more folders for each chapter. The next step is we're going to create a document titled My Book Base. As soon as I open a new document, I immediately use File Save As and enter the name for my new document. And in this case, it's going to be My Book Base. Now that I have this document in place, I can go about creating the necessary custom styles that I need for pages and for paragraphs. Now the pages for this book are going to use a 6 by 9 inch format. And this is a common paperback book size. You can substitute any book size you prefer. The first thing is to look in the first thing to do is to look in the custom page styles and to make sure that there are no custom page styles inherited from any earlier projects. If you see anything here, just select them all and delete them. We also need to delete any custom styles that are in the paragraph area or characters, frames, page list, table styles. And once we have all those custom styles cleared out, we'll save the document. So now that we have the page styles, the custom page styles sidebar selected, we're going to right-click and select New, and then we're going to create My Left Page. And the next style for now is going to be My Left Page. I like to look at the list of page styles I'm going to need and create them from the bottom up. In other words, I'm going to create my left page followed by my right page and on up the list. And once I've created all of this page styles, I have to come back to the My Left Page style organizer and reset the next style to my right page. In the Page tab, I'm using letter size, not 8.5 by 11, but I'm going to change this to be 6 by 9 inches, and then I'm going to set the margins. I'm going to set the wide margin to be 0.76, the other margins to be 0.6, the other side margin to be 0.6, and top and bottom margins be 0.5. Next, I'm going to turn on the header and turn on the footer, and then say OK. Now I'm going to go ahead and repeat this process to create my right page. When you create the other page styles, remember to make sure that they're all 6 by 9 pages. Once all the page styles are set, we're going to go ahead and make some dummy pages just to check the formatting. We're going to start with a title and make sure that that's using the title page style. And we'll force a page break. And this should be the copyright page. force a page break, contents 1, contents 2, followed by my right page, followed by my left page, and I'm going to force one more page break just to make sure that the next page following my left page is my right page. I'm going to save this before I go any farther, and then I'm going to view this in the book view and zoom way out, and by doing this I can check that the margins are exactly the way I want and that the different pages follow the styles that I indicated. And you notice that there is a header on my right page and a footer, and header and footer on the left page as well. It's a good idea, once you have created your page styles, to put some dummy text on each one of the pages, force the page break so that you see them all, and then just go and check in the book view to see if your page formatting works. So now that we have the page styles that we want, we have to repeat this process by going to paragraph styles and go ahead and create the paragraph styles we're going to use in this book. Now, once you've created all the paragraph styles you would like to use in your book, then you should go ahead and do the save. And now you have a document titled My Book Base that has all the paragraph styles and all the page styles you're going to use in your book. Now, when you're ready to start the first chapter, you just go ahead and you open up My Book Base, and then you use File, Save As, choose the appropriate location, and give it a name. In this case, I used My Book Chapter 1, and by doing File, Save As, I've actually preserved the My Book Base. Now My Book Chapter 1 has the page styles I need and has the paragraph styles I need. Now what's left is go ahead and create all the text for this chapter. Once you have created all the chapters for your book, it's time to put the book together. So once again, open up the My Book Base file, and then select File, Save As, and enter the title for your book. Now this puts us on the title page of the book. But before we enter a title, let's go in and adjust the properties for this book. So we go to File, Properties, and then in the description area, enter the title for your book. And select OK. And then in the Paragraph Styles list, we'll double-click on My Title Paragraph. And you'll notice again, if I click away from this, that the shading here indicates that that's an inserted field. In this case, we inserted the title field that we defined in the Properties menu. Now we can enter anything we would like on the title page. In this example, to save time, I'll just quickly insert a graphic here. And as you've seen in the earlier project, I can double click on this graphic. I can select the Type tab, make sure I keep the ratio equal, adjust the width, keep it on center, and wrap I'll have none, borders. I'll have borders on all four sides and insert a drop shadow. And that's enough for an example title page. Next, I'll go to the copyright page, and I'll use the copyright paragraph style, and I'll enter something like copyright 2020 by the author. And again, for the example, I'll just put a quick filler graphic in here. And then I'll go to the contents page. I don't have anything to enter there yet. I'm going to build a table of contents after I've added the chapters. I'm going to go to my right page. I'm going to make sure that the text style is my body text. And then I'm going to open up the chapter 1 file. And in the chapter 1 file, I'm going to do Control A to select all the text. I'll copy that. Then I'll go back to my new book file. Put the cursor on the first line of the first my right page and paste. And in this sample, I don't have enough text to fill the whole page, so I'll just jump ahead. At this point, I would like chapter 2 to start on another right page, so let me force a page break. And that will put me on a right page again. Now I'm going to go and find my chapter 2 file and repeat the process. I'll Control A, select all of the chapter 2. Then I'll go back to my book file, and with the cursor on the first line of the next to my right page, I'll paste, and that adds the next chapter. And I just continue this process now until I've added all the chapters. And this gives me enough to go back and create a table of contents. Before I do that, I better save what I've done so far, or I'm in danger of losing it. In order to create the table of contents, I first need to go to Tools, Chapter Numbering, and then I want to select the paragraph style I want to use for each level of my contents. And so the first paragraph style that I need to use is my chapter title paragraph. And the next level, the paragraph style I'm going to use is my heading 1 paragraph. Okay, and now let me return to the table of contents page. I'll just delete that filler text I had here and make sure that I'm using the text body, my text body style. And I'll leave a blank paragraph there. And now I'm going to insert the table of contents. So I'll say Insert, Table of Contents and Index, and then Table of Contents. And I'll just accept the defaults at this point. and I've built the table of contents. And you see that my chapter style is used as the first level in the contents outline, and my heading 1 style is used for the next level in the outline. And the system has gone through and figured out what pages are where. Now, it may be that I want to change the spacing or change the format of these listings in the table of contents. For example, this paragraph uses the contents 1 style. Here's how I can adjust that contents 1 style. I'm going to right click, select paragraph, select edit style, and that opens a dialog box for the contents 1 paragraph style. Here's where I can adjust the spacing before the text. Just to demonstrate this, let me put 0.25 before the text, and below that paragraph, just for demonstration purposes, I'll put 0.08. This is easy to change. After the text, I'm also going to put 0.25, and let's see what that does. Let me just pull this aside and then select apply, and you can see the effect that has. If I don't like this, perhaps I would like the space after the text to be a little more, so let me adjust this to 0.32 and apply it, and you see how easy it is to adjust that. Okay, let's do the same thing with the contents 2 paragraph. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to say paragraph, edit style. This time, before the text, I think I'll try 0.5. After the text, I think I'll try 0.5. And below the paragraph, maybe 0.2. And let me slide this over so we can see the effect when I click on apply. And you see what's happened. So it's easy to go in and adjust the paragraphs on each of these styles that's used in the table of contents. You might have noticed that the system indicates there's a spelling error at that place. Also, you notice if I hover on an entry in the table of contents, I can hold the control key down and select, and it'll jump right to that spot. And now I can go in and fix the spelling. And I'm going to save this version, save as. And now what I'm going to do is I want to make sure that that change is reflected in the table of contents. So I'm going to go to Tools, Update, All, and that's gone in and it's updated the table of contents. If you do any editing in your document at this point, you should come back and do Tools, Update, All, and that will make sure that all the page numbering is correct and all the changes you made in the heading 1 paragraphs has been corrected. Once again, I'm going to save this version. If I slide down here, you can see that there's nothing in the contents 2 page, and that's because I do not have enough content in my book for the table of contents to fill up a whole page and go to the next page. This is another instance where I may want to put a filler graphic just to fill in all that white space. So I think in this example I'll just put the ship that the ancestors sailed on, and I'll double click on that and make sure I'm keeping the ratio. Maybe I'll make that be a 3.75 wide image. Position it in the center with no wrap, but I'll add borders and a drop shadow. Okay, and now you see I've pretty much completed the book so far. So once I save this version, I'm going to go ahead and look at this book using the book view option and zoom way out, and now I can see how the book's going to look. Here's my title page, my copyright page. I think that I never set the paragraph style for that copyright information. I could probably do that right here. Let's find out. Double click. Yep, fixed it there, even though it's too small to see. I adjusted that. And if I scroll along here, I can see that things are working pretty well. All of my chapters start out on right side pages, which is my preference. It's not mandatory you do that. It's a personal preference thing. The one thing that I have not dealt with are the headers and the footers. So let's go back to the single page view, zoom in a little bit, and go to the first footer, which is on the first right page. Let me add a footer here by entering the word page, followed by a space, and then insert page number and the word of, and then insert page count, and that takes care of the footer. Well, not quite. I haven't used the footer paragraph style, so let me do that. And then let me select that entire footer, copy it, and go down here to a left page and paste that as my left page footer as well. For the left page header, I'm going to insert a field. I'm going to insert, in this case, the title, and I'll use my header paragraph style for that. And that's on all of the left pages. If I go to the right page, I don't have any header, and I can insert anything I like as right page headers. Now, it doesn't show up very well in this sample book because I don't have enough pages in the chapter to make this make sense. But some people like to use something called a running header. Now, to add a running header for the right pages, I'll place the cursor in the right header, and then I'll use Insert, More Fields, and I'll choose Chapter and Chapter Name, and say Insert. Then I'm going to close this, and the cursor is still in that header, so I'm going to choose my header paragraph. And now you see that it's picked up the chapter name as a header for all the right pages. Unfortunately, I only have one right page in that chapter, and so it looks a little strange. If you want to avoid this, what you can do is you can create a special page style for the first page in every chapter and do not include the header, but then have the left page followed by the right page that does include the running header. I hope that's not too confusing. But what's happening is that if I go down here to the next right side page, you see that it's picked up the chapter as the header. And similarly, it's picked up the chapter as the running header in that chapter. Let me go back to the book view and let me scroll down so that we can see. Let me scroll down to the chapter 2. Actually, I've been inconsistent here. Chapter 1, I've actually made the chapter title be Chapter 1, comma, My Ancestors. In Chapter 2, I didn't do that. So I can edit that right now and say Chapter 2, and I'm going to save this version. I'm going to go down to the third chapter and be consistent there. And now I'm going to use Tools, Update, All, and you'll see now these chapter names are consistent, so I'll save this version. So the bottom line is, once you have all your chapters, you can copy and paste them into one book file. You could create a book file all as one file from the beginning. However, I've discovered that if you have a lot of pages in the book, when you get into hundreds of pages in the book, it's a little better to do the editing chapter by chapter. Because if you have 500 pages there and you start editing with that many pages, the process, depending on your processor and your computer and how much memory you have, the process may slow down. I find it better to organize each chapter as a separate file and then put all the files together at the end. Now, what about publishing this book? Publishers don't necessarily have your particular version of word processing, but what all of them have is the ability to use PDF files. And so, in this case, I'm going to say File, Export as a PDF file. And now there are some settings for the PDF files. You can adjust the image resolution, the compression amount for your JPEG files. You can do things like initial view, whatever. I'm going to accept the defaults for these for now, and I'm going to say export. It asks me where I want to put this and what file name I want to use. So I will use the Anderson Family History as the name of my book file and save it. If I go back to the file folder for the book project, now I have the PDF file, and I can test that by double-clicking and opening it. I'm using Acrobat Reader as a default program for PDF files, and now I've opened that PDF file in Acrobat Reader, and I have a number of things to do in my version of Acrobat Reader. I'm using this tool in Acrobat Reader to show a full page, and then I'm going to view, two-page view, and I can scroll through my book without seeing all of those little shadings on the inserted graphic images. And PDF files are what you will send to your publisher for printing.